That's so wild. All right. Restarting from the very beginning, I'm going to show you guys a build that I really did enjoy and I executed quite well. It was something that I was just kind of working on, so I just did it against the AI. But truth be told, the AI did what would almost blind counter this build, and it was still very successful. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Now that I'm aware that my streaming software is actually streaming the right thing. All right. All right, so 8 workers start PTR type deal. As you know, the patch is now live. So we're doing the immediate chrono boost as per Harstem. 1013 is the supply that we're looking at presently for both parties. We're going to go ahead and speed this early game up a little bit, as we know not much is going to happen. We're dropping our pylon right before the supply block, and then we're going to have you'll notice there that it works out so that you're like not actually supply blocked. Like you're at max supply, which is like almost optimal. But then by the time your probe is done building, your pylon is done. So it all works out in the end. You just have to execute it well. Alright, so here's the build order. It's taking shape. You'll notice, okay, so we got this little tube on this map. I think this is called, this was Black Rock? I'm not quite sure. What does this do? Oh, that removes my selection. Okay. Um, I wish I could select where my probe is. You lose sight of them unless you can double tap the hotkey. You don't really know. I like this little addition. It's kind of cute. We're going to slow it back down because I think this is... Yeah, alright. So after the gate, we're getting our cybernetics core. Now pay attention closely to the next choice because this is where the actual build takes shape. Everything else up until this point has just been kind of standard. I'm just going to check my monitor. Yep, my monitor still sounds good. Alright, so let's keep it going. Close my sound settings. We are about to do what defines this build, and that is, well, we get our Nexus. When did I get my Nexus? That's actually a great question. I do believe I got it after core. I just got it. Yeah, just got it now. I dropped it at 19. That seems like a reasonable time to get it, and I think that's something in alignment with what Harstem was doing. Obviously, you don't want to delay your core in PvP just in case they are doing something like they are doing, which in this case was a 4-gate off one base. So just immediate pressure, early timing attack. Okay, let's get it cooking here. So we go for 1 gate, Nexus, and then right into Robo right after. Triangulating our pylon coverage in the base. Just in case we need defensive warp-ins, we want to be able to do them anywhere around our mineral line. I was absolutely determined to get this probe kill. Oh my god. So what that just did is now evened out our units lost. And as any Protoss versus Protoss situation would indicate, that any kind of advantage is a great advantage. So I don't want him to have any advantage over me. So that evening out the units lost was pretty good, pretty key, pretty tight, pretty sexy. So now I'm just gonna add on another gate, guys. Just stay ahead of the supply. My general rule of thumb is that, you know, I'm well ahead of it at this point, but like just do your macro cycles, and you should never have to worry about it. And if you're a newer player and you're watching this, And you're wondering, what is my macro loop for Protoss? If you've never really looked into that, or if you've never heard it talked about, it should be probes. And then now we're queuing gateway units the same way that Terran would. So I go 5 EE to build at least 2 probes. If I have a lot of money, I'll build 4. Just get the next one queued up. I don't like to do that a lot because I like to know that I could spend on structures if I get I don't like too much queued production, but moving forward, queued gateway units comes after queuing probes. So in this build particularly, you'll see I end up going up to about 6 gates in a robo, and then I add on another robo robotics facility forward robotics facility in proxy once my attack has some success, so that I can have more immediate reinforcing immortals. All right, so macro cycle. So I'm hitting 5, I'm hitting EE, sometimes 4 times to get probes queued. Then I'm going into queuing units in my production structures, which you'll notice I have on 6. So I go 5 EE 6 G or S, and then tab I. I actually have mortal secondary hotkey for Q in case I don't feel like moving over the keyboard to go all the way to I do have that Q there in case I'm really trying to go rapid through my macro. But old habits die hard, so sometimes I will find myself still hitting I. Alright, so yes, everything's looking pretty tight, pretty fancy, pretty clean. I'm pretty happy with it. We have some oversaturation issues here, which I'm sure I will rectify momentarily. I actually want to wait and see how long it takes. I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I'm spending APMs somewhere. Alright, the oversaturation is continued. Let's see what I'm adding on in production. We got 2 more gates cooking. Added them in the main before I add them in the forward base, simply just because I don't want the opponent to get an easy read on what my gate count is. Alright, so let's see about, this is really bothering me. Oversaturation issues. But this is why you watch replays, right? Even the ones that you, even the games that you feel that you did exceptionally well, you can almost certainly find some things that you would like to improve upon. And oversaturation in the main base for this length of time is definitely one of those things. Not to mention the lack of production in the gateways and the current supply block at 68 supply. Now immediately 74. So that's why you build 1 or 2 pylons when you're supply blocked instead of a singular pylon. Because you only lift the supply block to achieve another supply block, which I did again at 82. So I mean that's terrifying. That's terrible. The reason why I'm streaming this game is simply because I like the execution of the build. However, those certain details can be omitted. I finally find myself transferring drones or probes, so that's great. We cleaned that saturation issue up. I can now look at this and not see red, and that makes everybody happy, I'm sure. So we get the Templar archives, but this is when we begin our first defense of our opponent's aggression, which we knew was coming. To some degree, we knew it was coming because I did scout his army. He was building units. I got a read on all of this. If you look at my cam, I toured around. Well, actually, my observer is down there right now, so I didn't even look at the main. I really just wanted to know what he was building, and I gathered that information before the move out. He's moving out. Let's go everyone cam. Yes, he's moving out presently, and I got a worker count. I looked at his. I think I'm gonna pull this back when I do see the move out officially. But here we go. We're gonna watch it, and obviously I feel pretty good about myself in the position I'm in. So I move everything to the front of the ramp. I was actually the ironic. Okay, so this is the irony. Okay, of a PvP. He's hitting me at 8 minutes. I don't know if he Yeah, he doesn't have any upgrades. I got charge, and I said this already, but the reason why I get charge over blink is because zealots are relatively useless without charge, but stalkers are not useless without blink. They kind of fend for themselves as is. So I'll get blink, but only if it's something that, um, like the game, like I don't win the game because charge is my first engage condition. So I will push. Usually when charge finishes, when I have two immortals. So you should always have an attack condition, like a fight checklist. Um, and I'll go through that as well right now. But basically, for PvP, a two-gate robo stability is pretty important, and this is standard, and it's going to remain standard in the new patch. Batteries, if you sense aggression or if scouting is remained inconclusive or ambiguous, batteries are something you want to invest in PvP for sure. Observers, because batteries are something that if you make the decision to make them, it can change how the game ends, either in your favor or otherwise, because usually whoever's attacking into an army that has battery support is the one who loses the game. So observers and one or two immortals before you get too greedy on getting bases and stuff. Immortals are expensive. 250 minerals and 100 gas, I believe. I might be wrong, and that would be embarrassing. But yeah, I do believe it is 100 gas. Might be 150. I'm not gonna look into that right now. I should know. That's embarrassing. Doesn't matter. So I get them like every game, so literally I should know. But I know the mineral costs more than the gas costs. I just know that they cost gas. I can tell you that stalkers cost 50 gas. Um, and I can tell you sentries are 100. I'm pretty sure immortals are 100 gas. I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm almost 100. Like I'm like 80% sure. But anyway, so you want to favor the composition that you see on screen from both parties. The only difference in the composition here is like the Archon. I hate that it won't show tooltips. Like why? Can I hover above the attack and see what the weapon damage is? It's super annoying. But anyway, you want to favor the composition that you see on screen PvP, absolutely. I think that the adepts were kind of waste. I think that was a big error on the part of the AI's build in this case. Um, but I just popped a wave of zealots, so you're gonna see some army control that's very intentional. Um, you'll see I'm gonna actually slow down this battle, put it on normal speed. So mind my selection, right? So right there, you would have seen that these guys were pulled off, like selected, control select, left click, pulled them off to the side so that the zealots that were joining the fight can flank around them, um, and body block. And then you'll notice that I focus again the range fire. Initially, sadly, the zealots were included in that group unintentionally, but I just focus down priority targets. Okay. And then moving out ahead of me, I had already grabbed a probe from the main and had him build a pylon. Like he was, while I was fighting, or like while I was cleaning up the rest of that fight, or like immediately after that fight ended, I sent that guy out there because I knew I was going to counter swing and I wanted a quick warp in. So you'll see all my gates have now been changed into warp gates, um, as you should. Like when you're on the back foot and you're just chilling at home, absolutely keep your gates, warp gates, gateways. They're much faster after warp gate research. And this is where you'll see like the just like the clean simplicity and execution of how to play this build, and like it just works. If you do it right, it works. The thing is, I mentioned attack conditions, one or two immortals, one or two immortals, and then like once you start immortal production, stop making stock. Well, yeah, stop making stalkers. Make stalkers initially, but then once immortal production starts is when I'll switch to almost exclusive stalker production. And then when I have excessive gas or I need more range support, then I go into archons. But like my stalkers from the beginning of the game, like are enough stalkers in this matchup at least. Um, the immortals are the ones that do the work. Let's just say that. And like I shouldn't really say that because I mean zealots are pretty important. Um, and as you can see there, I gathered my zealots in front of my ranged army intentionally. They're all on hotkey 1 there, and I think that's just an important part of playing the game, and it does require some preemptive APM to do that, but like it's definitely worth it, as you can see. And then again, controlling my ranged army to kind of like move forward, so they're not just like chilling outside of like an effective range. All right, so then we're just like cleaning up a little bit. Of course, I have more warpins coming in from the forward position, and there is the forward robo that I mentioned with the double battery support. But at this point, we're pretty much just cleaning up our opponent's base. And this is the point where I do believe, yeah, so our immortals, this is where we're taking stock. And this guy right here, I believe, is the mentor. Yes, he's had 8 kills. And these are his disciples back here, okay? Aptly named disciples. This guy became a mentor before he moved up the ramp. That's actually crazy. I'm going to bring that back a little bit because that was like the highlight of the stream, actually, is the immortal drama. Yeah, so this guy's this is the mentor looking back at his disciples with 4 kills apiece. He's looking back at them like, hey, what are you guys actually doing right now? Like, I've been in the same fights as you, and somehow I'm clearing 8 more. Like, I'm killing twice as many as you, bro. And they're just like, yo, listen, man, we're doing our very best. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna do my thing. That's what he says. And he will do his thing. The mentor is going to do his thing, and he's going to retire this game undefeated. Okay. And this is the point where I want to mention that just because you're ahead in the game doesn't mean, like, obviously, like, way ahead, like, your position is just crazy, like, one-sided. It's like a landslide. I'm now morphing my Archons. I didn't even remember doing this, but I guess it happened. So yeah, now I'm moving into Archons. So like, you just stick to the plan until the game is over. And my plan in PvP is 2 Gate Robo Stability with batteries. You want to fight with batteries, get an Observer, 1 or 2 Immortals before you're grieved, and then you favor Immortal Archon charge a lot. Because Blink is very fragile in PvP. It's fun to play, but it's a fragile style. So basically, I am dropping down a base in the background while I'm taking this engagement, just because I want to dot my I's and cross my T's. Now the instructor, okay, that's hilarious. Okay, so now we have an instructor immortal with he's promoted one of the lads to take his position. This guy's still a disciple, still on 4 kills, just not picking up the work. You know what I mean? This guy's got 6 kills. The instructor is just putting in overtime with a double-digit kill count. And the stalkers just never reach that level. Let me just say that. Stalkers just do not get to that level. In any game, they do not get to that level. It really is what it is. It really is what it is. Okay. So that would be my PvP build, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. that is it. That is my one gate robo expand. One gate robo, so it's like one gate core Nexus robo. Take command. That's crazy. That's so cool. I really didn't know you can do that. That's actually what. All these years I've been playing StarCraft, I didn't know you can take command during a replay. Wild. It's wild. Okay, yeah, so we drop the Nexus, and then we drop the Robo. Again, things working out pretty smooth. Just want to see exactly when the Robo goes down. 25. So it's a 19 Nexus, 25 Robo at the end of the day. Alright? And then after that, you just add gateways. Wait for your first attack, timing condition, which is when charge finishes. And you have a couple of immortals to run with. Preferably two. You want to make sure that you have a mentor for the disciple. Okay? So I'll run through a fight checklist real quick. So you want to confirm vision and your enemy's position, which is why you get an observer before you get your first immortal. You want to guardian shield is relevant when necessary. And when it is necessary is generally if you're just floating gas for some reason. But you shouldn't be floating gas if you got your gas at an appropriate timeline. You want to send zealots forward. I mentioned that. Or around the side when fighting, and we saw both of those. We saw pre-arrangement where I put the zealots in front on purpose ahead of the game, and then we saw one where I had to pull my ranged units out around the zealot frontal force. So you want to make sure that Colossi, if you're using them, they're more relevant in Terran versus Protoss. But Colossi, you want to make sure that you're pulling them back from divers and not losing them. We're going to quit the replay, folks. And then you want to stop over microing and complete one. You want to stop over microing and complete macro cycles. And I went through macro cycles already, but if you need to be reminded, it's probes, queued gateway units, robo units, and then pylon check. By that I mean usually build a pylon. Like you can almost always never go wrong with just building a pylon. And then you want to look at the mini map and then control your army. And what that means is like generally speaking, like you can take new positions, and those positions do change within the game. Between your main and your natural is a safe place. If you just want like a VX, like versus whatever type of positioning, then that's the one to go for. But like I would say that range support, like stalkers in the main mineral line is a good idea against Terran. But yeah, forward forces don't they like it almost doesn't make sense to keep them there. So like once you switch into zealots after immortal production begins, you want to keep that forward force forward. And you pretty much saw how I handled the late game. If my attack was successful and I switched to the offensive, obviously a forward pylon and then an optional forward robotics facility based on how your money looks. In my case, it was looking pretty dang good. So that's all for me today, guys. That is a one gate robo or one gate expand, one gate robo. We'll just call that one gate robo. Pretty solid build PvP. I'm gonna sign off. Make sure you follow because I'm gonna hop back on Twitch and if you're watching this on the VOD, just do drop a follow because I'm going to start making these videos every time I like a build. So now I'm going to rip this off Twitch. I don't know exactly what happened with my previous run at the replay cast. It kind of blew up in my face. I'm not sure why, but that's neither here nor there. Doesn't matter, does it? I'm gonna cast replays when I enjoy them. If that be that ladder or AI, if I'm testing a new build, and it happens to be AI, I won't take any shame in that. You see how very easily that build rolled over very hard AI, and if you're a Metal Leagues player, very hard AI often beats Metal League gameplay. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and I will be back as soon as I have another build to show you or another game that I enjoyed, like the Zerg game that I recently casted and uploaded to YouTube. This particular game was a Nidus Assault, which is it's up on my YouTube if you want to go check it out at Dyl.A.D is my YouTube, which kind of runs off my Govy. So Focus Gaming is the YouTube that I run, but honestly, I don't even know if I can still access it. I should try. Revive the brand. Wisebot, thanks everyone for sticking around. If you've been here during or in and out during the stream, it appears. Let me see. I have unmuted but no signal. That doesn't seem right. Does not seem right at all because my monitor worked. Anyways, I'm gonna end the stream here. But yeah, like I said, if you're watching on the VOD or if you've been present, do follow and I'll be back on soon. Ciao for now.